Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Two Bros Podcast. As always, I am Bryce, and I am joined along by,
I'm Matt. I'm the other brother.
as you can tell, my voice is a million times better. I did a lot less screaming over the weekend. Well, I did one night of screaming last week, and it killed my voice for like 5 days. But anyways, we're good. So. Let's get right into the show because we have three different sports to talk about. And the first one, a lot of people aren't going to consider a sport, but you know what? We really don't care because we love it anyways. So we are going to talk about it regardless. So on Saturday night, Obafemi lost the NXT Championship to Ricky Saints. Where does Obafemi go from here?
Normally that would make me think he's main roster bound, but with how Triple H's been booking the main roster, I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
know for a fact that he's probably gonna take some time off after having
yeah.
like a ridiculously lengthy reign. I think he's probably
It's
gonna
like
take.
264 days as NXT champion or something.
I think he's gonna take like a few, maybe 2 to 3 months off, and I think he ends up being main roster bound. I just don't know if I want that to happen.
Yeah, let's be honest. Triple H's booking isn't exactly the greatest. I think I'm starting to be in the majority that's thinking this, but I miss Vince McMahon's booking every single day.
I wouldn't even say I miss Vince McMahon. I miss pre-TKO booking.
That's true.
And so I think that like realistically he's gonna head to the main roster and he'll probably have like an IC title reign pretty quickly. They're probably gonna pull out they're gonna pull what's it called, a Gunther with him. So I think that that'll probably end up being something that happens pretty quickly. But like, yeah, no, he's been sorry.
You're good.
He was a beast on NXT, so I hope that he ends up getting the same treatment, but we'll have to see.
I think he is going to take time off too because with as dominant as he was, I don't think anybody ever thought that he was going to lose the title clean. And he did. He did. He lost the title clean. So I do think that this is a huge push for Ricky Saints now to become the new face of NXT. And Obafemi has done his time in NXT, and it's time for him to move up.
But if you look at him and you look at like him moving up, you have to question why a guy like Trick Williams has moved up as well.
That's true. He's been
I
in
mean,
NXT.
you've
He's
been
been on
there
top of the
longer.
NXT for what, 3 years now?
You're on top of NXT for 3 years, then also is now on top of TNA as well.
Yeah. So he's on the top of the two companies associated with the main roster, but aren't the main roster. So yeah,
I would also say
that's
the combo of TNA and NXT is putting on the best weekly programming.
yeah,
Anything right now that includes main roster and that includes AEW.
yeah,
TNA and like these are two different like two kind of brands that were looked at as the underdogs, as the developmental, as like the
yeah.
versus AEW and main roster WWE. And I really think they're putting on the best of all.
I 100% agree. But next, let's talk about basketball because I think the last key domino in the offseason has officially fallen, and that is Jonathan Kuminga re-signing with the Golden State Warriors for 2 years, 48.5 million dollars after he held out wanting a bigger contract after the Warriors weren't willing to leverage anything. And there were talks that he was going to get signed and traded. There was talks that he wasn't going to pick up his qualifying offer. But he does. Well, he doesn't pick up his qualifying offer, but he signs a 2 year, $48.5 million deal. Who do you think won in this deal?
I would say Golden State. Mainly
I think,
because the reason I say this is because I was reading about it and it's basically this deal was meant to just get him to play the season. This is going to be a let's rip this up and renegotiate or rediscuss the next offseason deal. So I think that with Golden State paying him $24 million this year and then being able to move him pretty easily next offseason, I think they win this big time. Now, my only issue is for Golden State, if Kuminga comes and he plays terribly this year, that means his value drops. and they should have traded him while he had the value he did. So you have to question if we're going to see a Zach LaVine type thing that happens here, where they held on to him for too long and his value just wasn't as what we thought it was going to be. So I say, as of now, Golden State wins this. I think Kuminga obviously wanted a long-term deal, wanted the kind of money that we were seeing some outstanding players get.
Josh Giddey.
But Kuminga's not the level of that yet, in my opinion. So right now, Golden State wins this.
In all honesty, I think that the Warriors win this. I even if Jonathan Kuminga plays absolutely amazing, I still think that he lost any leverage he had to negotiate with the Warriors when he accepted the 2-year, $48.5 million deal when he could have just accepted the qualifying offer this year and been out next year and left them screwed for nothing.
No, I agree with you on that. I think that a guy like Kuminga being a younger guy, it really kind of affects his ability to like make those decisions. Now, yes, he has an agent, but there comes a time when it's like someone like Jordan Poole earned the ability to kind of do that. He averaged 20
Yeah,
plus a game. He was a key part to their title versus
yeah,
Kuminga, who has been good, but even when Steph went down, he wasn't the guy they ran to.
yeah.
So Kuminga almost looks at himself as a superstar when he's not. And
When he's not, he's
he's a very good
six
third
man lower
option.
level starter.
I would say, yeah, third option, probably someone you can rely on when your two best players go down. I mean, on this team, he's gonna fall behind Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and then sometimes Draymond Green, or
He's gonna fall behind
depending,
Draymond every time.
and then also depending on if he's on fire, Buddy Hield. So
Yeah,
I just don't see him being the player to command a max deal because he's not averaging those kind of max deal numbers.
yeah. I do think the Warriors have mismanaged it, though. Do I think Jonathan
Yeah.
Kuminga is as good as he thinks he is and the rest of the NBA thinks he is? No, absolutely not. I think he's a scorer, and I don't, and as I said with Cam Thomas, I don't think guys like that are guys you can give a lot of money to and build your franchise around. And with Cam Thomas, it showed because Cam
He's not even
Thomas
that good of a
signed a
scorer.
1 year, $3.6 million deal.
He's not even that great of a scorer. He only averaged about 15 a game
That's
on
true.
inefficient shooting. So
That's
I don't
true.
know how
Yeah, Cam
how
Thomas did too, and he got 3 million
Cam Thomas averaged nearly 20 a game.
on
Now, I will say
41, 36 with nothing
wasn't
else.
Cam Thomas wasn't playing with Stephen Curry. So of course that holds back Kuminga's shooting, but I think Kuminga is thinking he's in a different league than he is.
Alrighty. So now let's talk the NFL because my, did we have injuries? And there were more injuries that were listed after I wrote this today.
We
So let's
definitely
just
don't have
start with
time to
that
talk
one
about.
because now Brock Purdy and Juwan Jennings are both out tomorrow night. This comes after the game where Brock Purdy returned from a toe injury, and now he's missing more time with that same toe injury. And this is the same ankle injury Juwan Jennings has been battling all year, off and on the field, off the field. And when are the 49ers going to get healthy? Because they're never healthy at this point.
So the 49ers are this weird team where you always know they're going to be competitive, but you always know one thing's going to hold them back.
Yep.
They're the same thing as the Ravens. They're the same thing as the Bills. Their problem is defense.
Bills are healthy
Sorry,
this year.
their problem is injuries. I don't know what it is about this Shanahan team that always looks like they can run it. They look like they can do it all. I just think they have a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And also, even with Purdy playing, I don't look at them as a true championship contender.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
if they're fully healthy, I do.
they looked just as good with Mac Jones as they have Brock Purdy. I think it's the system they have running, so I don't know how much this hurts them. I do think this takes them out of the NFC West race for right now. I think Seattle and
Mhm.
LA are going to take a bit of a lead on that. But I overall don't look at the team they have as a super contender
Yeah.
anyways. Even though, my Packers have fallen off a little bit, I still put them above them. I still put a Lions. I still put the Eagles. I still even, honestly, I would say I still probably even put the Cowboys above them. So this is not a team I'd be worried about if I'm in the NFC anyway. So I don't really have too much of an issue with
That's
these
true.
injuries.
I get that. I do. I still believe in the 49ers. I think once they get healthy, which should be in the next few weeks because they are going to get George Kittle back. They are going to get Juwan Jennings back. Brandon Ayuk's going to come back. Brock Purdy's going to come back. And what? Dre Greenlaw is also no, he's a Bronco now,
He's a
isn't he?
Bronco. Yeah.
But they have a linebacker who's going to come back too.
Nick Bosa,
But
Nick Bosa's gonna be out for the year.
oh yeah, but yeah, Nick Bosa's done for the year. But I do think that this is a situation where with just one injury, with they could manage with the Nick Bosa injury. They could still be Super Bowl contenders with the Nick Bosa injury. But you put all these injuries together, and like you said with the Ravens, it's gonna start to pile up. It is going to pile up. And oh wait, I did write the Brock Purdy thing. Questionable for Thursday Night Football. I forgot to change it to now it's out. So yeah, no, but I agree. I think the 49ers, once they're healthy, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender again. It's just getting them healthy. It's going to be
Mm.
the issue.
I don't know about Super Bowl contender, but their health has always been an issue.
That's true. Alrighty, next. This one happened at a game you were at in which Malik Neighbors tore his ACL and he's out for the year. What does this do for Jackson Dart and the New York Giants?
I mean, I would say that this kind of like really hurts their season, but he went down pretty early in the game and they still looked good. Now let me be clear. This Jackson Dart Giants team is not a playoff team. They're not a contender, but they're better than they were with Russ. Jackson Dart is gonna miss his number one target. Now he's gonna be throwing a Darius Slayton as his number one
Wanda
guy,
Robinson
or
and
Wando
Jalen Wyatt.
Robinson. But one thing I noticed about this team is they adjusted well. Malik Neighbors went down. They realized Jackson Dart is not going to be getting the deep ball out much, so they ran the ball a lot with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. You're going to see them relying a lot on their rookies, and I would not be surprised if you see this team pulling some guys from a practice squad because their
Yeah,
receivers looked awful.
yeah,
Jackson Dart had like 111 yards, and you could tell he was trying to pass the ball. So I would not be surprised to see this team pull a lot from their depth, a lot from practice squad, or even making a trade.
yeah. I I get that. This is huge with a guy like Jackson Dart who's making his second start now. With when you have a guy like Middle League Neighbors who is as good as he is, who is as good as advertised, who had 1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns last year. This is a guy who they're going to miss exponentially. And I get they have Wandale Robinson, they have Darius Slayton, they still have Theo Johnson. Those guys are not Malik Neighbors. And yes, you said they did adjust, but teams often adjust in the game where injuries happen. Well, they're not going to be able to adjust this well next week and this week, next week, and then for the rest of the year.
One thing I noticed about this team is they're scrappy. But scrappy only goes so far. They got very lucky facing a very battered and injured Chargers team, missing their two best offensive linemen, missing multiple starters on defense, missing multiple other starters on offense. When they face a team like the Eagles, your scrappiness isn't going to
Yeah,
work. And Jackson Dart, yes, he played very well, but once again, that Chargers defense was just hurting. So
yeah.
they're gonna have probably have a pretty good week this week against the Saints, but next week they face Philadelphia, and that's where I think Jackson Dart's real first test. And having no Malik Neighbors is gonna affect him big time for that.
Alrighty, next we have what looked like a way worse injury than it actually happened. Tyreek Hill dislocated his knee and also tore ligaments in his knee, meaning he is out for the year. What does this do to the Dolphins for the rest of the year and potentially the future? Because now you have Tyreek Hill, who was probably on the way out, and now you can't trade Tyreek Hill, meaning you should have traded Tyreek Hill. You should.
So I think this does less for the Dolphins as it does for a team like the Chiefs or the Steelers. Um, the moment I saw him go down, first off, you never want to see a player get injured. It's awful, especially an injury like that. That looked rough. But
Yeah, I know.
it kind of made me realize that this team is basically just they're basically sellers. And I thought about the Steelers and thought about the Chiefs who need receivers badly. And I kind of felt bad. I was like, wow, the number one trade target for receivers is out. That means every other team will be changing their thoughts. Every other team will be looking around for different guys that they can move for. So while this does not affect the Dolphins, whose season is over anyways, this affects every other contender who thought they were possibly going
It's
to get
true.
Tyreek Hill.
That's true. I agree. They should have. I said that they should have traded Tyreek in the offseason, and now they're looking like idiots because they didn't, and now they're going to get nothing for him, or they're going to get exponentially less for him than they would have had they had traded him in the offseason. Next, we have Lamar Jackson injuring his hamstring. He's out for week 5, potentially out for 2 to 3 weeks. Cooper Rush is going to be the starting quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens at least next week. What is this team going to look like while Lamar Jackson is out?
So normally I'd be nervous for this team, but we saw Cooper Rush hold the Cowboys in the playoff race when Dak Prescott went down a few years ago, and then of course
Last year.
only to lose to Philadelphia. So I'm not too nervous for the actual Ravens. What's odd is I think more about a guy like Shador Sanders right now, who refused to play for the Ravens, and now look at him. He's the third string. He'd probably be playing this week if he decided not to turn the Ravens down. So yes, this makes me nervous for Baltimore, but I'm not sure how much of contenders they are in general with their defense looking like that.
Ah, yeah.
If everyone you're facing is putting up that many points on you, are you really contenders? And then the two teams who you have to go through to get to the Super Bowl probably just smacked you around like no other. I just don't
Yeah.
know if I can look at them as real contenders, especially after being beaten so heavily by Buffalo and by Kansas City.
Yeah. I agree 100%. This team is not a championship contender. Everybody said at the beginning of the year that they were championship contenders and that everybody was stupid for saying Lamar Jackson should have won MVP, for stupid for saying Josh Allen should have won MVP over Lamar Jackson. And now we see that maybe that's not the case because the Bills are 4-0. Josh Allen is playing incredible. And then the Ravens are 1-3 with arguably a worse defense in the NFL and Lamar Jackson's going to miss potentially 2, 3 games.
Yeah, this is a team that should be dangerous. If you look on paper with their roster, it's outstanding, but you can tell they're missing Mike McDonald.
Yeah,
Now, obviously, Nnamdi Madubuike being out for the year is seriously hurting them. Kyle
yeah.
Van Noy missing extended time. A still injured Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey being.
Marlon Humphrey's out. Yeah,
I mean, you can see how battered
yeah,
this defensive unit is, but also they're just not playing as well under Zach Orr, who I think probably has had his final season as a defensive coordinator for the Ravens.
yeah. I agree. That defense is not good. Final injury because Mike Evans injured his hamstring and is out for at least week 5. This could potentially be a 2 week injury. However, it's not as bad as his injury last year. That's what everybody's been saying. What does the Bucks outcome for at least the next week or two look
You
like
know,
without Mike Evans?
I thought that would be detrimental, especially for them like looking at them last week. But Emeka Egbuka, it looks like he's good enough to overtake anything. My actual only really thought on this is that he's probably going to lose his 1,000 yard streak. Chris Godwin's going to come back. He'll be fully fine.
He's back now.
I would say he'll be back to full strength
Yeah.
soon. So I don't think this is going to hurt the actual Buccaneers, but it's going to hurt Mike Evans and his streak he has. I think he'll lose it, even though he has the record. It's kind of crazy to think that we're not going to see a 1,000 yard season from Mike
I
Evans.
mean, it's only going to be a game or two that he's going to miss.
Yeah, but
So he missed
if
he
you
missed
look at
4
his
last
stats,
year
if you look
and
at his
had
stats this year, Bryce, he's not even doing that much as is. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to think that one of the most crazy records we've ever seen might be over.
yeah. I This doesn't hurt the Bucks at all. They're gonna win. they're going to win the NFC South regardless. They're going to win the NFC South regardless. And they won the NFC South last year without Mike Evans for 4 games and Chris Godwin half of the year. So
Now they have Emeka Buka, who is arguably as
incredible.
good as both of them right now.
Yeah. And yeah, he's playing incredible. Next week, now we're going to go to roster changes because the move that everybody wanted to happen finally happened. The Browns bench Joe Flacco. Dylan Gabriel is named the starter for the Browns going forward. Joe Flacco is the backup. Shador Sanders is still the third string. What does Joe Flacco's future hold in Cleveland?
Joe Flacco's future looks like a lot of clipboard holding.
Yep,
I obviously, Joe Flacco has had a crazy good career. Super Bowl champion, multiple time Pro Bowler, has a great legacy with Baltimore. His legacy was never going to be determined on this run in Cleveland. Even his first run in Cleveland, coming pretty much mid-season off of his
off of the
couch
practice squad.
to bring them to the playoffs and then winning comeback player of the year, we all knew what this was. He was a placeholder before one of the rookies stepped up. I think this means a lot more for Shador Sanders being QB number 3 after having seen how bad Joe Flacco looked these first 2 weeks, sorry, first 4 weeks. It just shows more of he's not ready. And they believe in Dylan Gabriel, and they're going to run with Dylan Gabriel for a reason. They've seen something out of him. I do feel bad for Dylan Gabriel having gone against the Vikings defense, but we said the same thing about Jackson Dart last week, and he died up this pretty good Chargers defense. So I'm not sure. I think it might not be a bad thing. I think it might be pretty solid for the Browns.
I'm gonna say no knock to Dylan Gabriel. I do think their best quarterback on the roster hasn't even taken a snap yet. He has. And you could see he outplayed every other Browns quarterback in the preseason. They
That Rams
didn't
game was
want
terrible.
they didn't they threw him in with guys who weren't going to be on the roster and put him in the highest stake possible as a rookie. They set him up to fail. They colluded. They said that they didn't want to draft him. They said they didn't want him at all. But the fact that he was there in the fifth round meant that they had to take him because of the insane value. They didn't want him. And they've proven it over and over again when he's outplayed both Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco in the preseason. And they just said, oh no, we don't want you.
I don't know. In my opinion, I think the Browns actually should have run with. I think the Browns should have traded Joe Flacco and ran with Kenny Pickett. But I think that Dylan Gabriel has a chance to earn himself a backup job somewhere else next year. Because I think we can all tell this Browns team is going to draft a quarterback.
We don't know that.
None of the guys on their roster are their future. They don't look at Shador as their future. They don't look at Dylan Gabriel as their future because he spent a third round pick on the guy. I think they understand how crazy good this QB draft is, so they're going to be waiting for next off season.
Alrighty, now let's go to some week 4 notable games because we're going to talk first about a game you went to, the Chargers Giants.
I have to change my tone on Cam Scatabo. At first,
Yeah, you have to,
I
big
thought he
time.
was a average mid-level player at best. I have to give him credit. The dude can run the ball. He looks like the ground and pound running back that everyone thought Devin Singletary was. Um, really, really good energy guy. I like Jackson Dart. I like this defense. Their pass rush is just insane with Brian Burns, Kayvon
Wendell Carter,
Thibodeau, and then
Kayvon
Sexy Dexy.
Thibodeau,
Or sorry, and for
Dexter
anyone who doesn't know,
Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence's nickname is Sexy Dexy.
Yeah, he
So,
is.
yeah, no, I have to give a lot of respect to the Giants. The Chargers got outplayed. This literally was to me was identical to the Browns Packers game.
Yeah,
A team fighting for their coach outplayed the
yeah,
better team there.
I agree 100%. Obviously, losing Malik Neighbors is hurt, but losing Malik Neighbors hurts, but this team played really well. And I don't think that this is a knock on the Chargers. This was, as we saw with the Packers last week or 2 weeks ago, a trap game. And the Chargers fell into that trap. And the Giants bit. They took the bait and they they won the game. So now let's talk about another game that you've been wrong again and again with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
I have to stop picking against the Eagles. Uh,
Yeah,
they're such a good team. And it's funny to me that like I always pick against the Eagles, and so many people in my life are big Eagles fans. So I need to check that. But can we talk about how it was a tale of two halves for this game? The first half, the Eagles looked like they were the best team in the league. The second half, they didn't have a single passing yard.
that's usually how the Eagles roll,
Um,
anyways. So
the Buccaneers may have lost, but it's kind of the same thing as the Rams. They proved they're a scary.
yeah, yeah,
Just because they lost to the reigning champions who are 4-0 does not mean they're a bad team. It just
they
means they're
barely lost to
beat
that.
by an outstanding team. And once again, both teams took them to like a near really close game.
Yeah,
So nothing against the Buccaneers. Emeka Egbuka and Baker Mayfield have a crazy future together. Bucky
yeah.
Irving is a top 15 running back in the NFL, and his
I
defense
think he's
can
top 10
be
already.
seriously good.
I everything you said. The Eagles are once again looking like they are going to win the Super Bowl. I think they are the best team of football right now, not named the Buffalo Bills. They're just they're looking really good, and their offense isn't doing anything. Their offense isn't doing anything, and they're looking this good.
They're a dangerous team.
Now I want to talk about a game that you and I both got wrong. The Colts versus the Rams. But my, I need to preface this. Jet Colts. Look at Malachi Corley last year. Give Adonai Mitchell the Malachi Corley treatment. Get him the hell out of Indianapolis right now. Right now. He cost the Colts the damn game because he decided to be Malachi Corley. No, I was so high on Adonai Mitchell. No, I'm out on him. Get him the hell off of the Colts right now.
I think we can't jump to conclusions like that. He's a good player, he's a young player, he's gonna make mistakes. Malachi Corley, you want to know the difference between Malachi Corley and an AD Mitchell is AD Mitchell takes full accountability for his mistakes. Malachi Corley was a guy who had a massive ego, thought he was better than he was. AD Mitchell came into their practice and was like, "Hey, this is on me, guys." Sat the entire team down and apologized. He'll get better. You don't move on from a young player who has massive upside because he makes some mistakes. Now, this is just another proof that the Rams are a really good team and a genuine contender because I think the Colts are a good team. They played well. Daniel Jones played well. I look at
I
those
had
two
two
picks.
picks.
The two picks, I'm sorry, I don't really count too much because first off, one of them was on the like having to sling it the final play. Of course, you're going to throw a pick on that. It's almost guaranteed. The other pick wasn't fully his fault. So I am content. I am still on the Indiana Jones bandwagon. I think he's a great player, or not great player. He's a good quarterback who's playing very well for a team who works with him in their system. But the Rams are genuine contenders.
Okay, let's talk about the Ravens and the Chiefs because this
Kansas City
game.
is back.
No, the refs are back.
Kansas
That the
City,
refs are back.
Bryce, can't I watched this game. Kansas City figured it out and they're back.
Are you kidding? There was that bogus pass interference call that really changed the
Bryce,
momentum of the
you
game.
take away those, you take away those, and guess what? They're still dominating. I'm sorry, I have nothing but the saying the Chiefs are back, and everyone but the Bills should be scared.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Chiefs didn't win this game. That's all I'll say. Next we have the Packers and the Cowboys. Uh,
80 points combined for a tie pisses me off. I'm a Packers fan. Everyone knows this who watches the show. 80 points in the tie is stupid. Play. Let the teams battle it out.
thank Josh Allen for that. Thank Josh Allen for that. Because all those Bills fans who were complaining because Josh Allen scored in overtime and then or Josh Allen
Didn't get a
got
chance
it to
to.
overtime and then the Chiefs won it in overtime off of a touchdown. No, like, no. There's a reason why overtime used to be sing first team to score wins. It needs to go back to that. That was the best way to do it.
That looked like game of the week that got ruined by the
Yep.
new overtime rules.
Yep.
Since we have less than 10 minutes left, let's skip the Dolphins and Jets because honestly, the two teams suck anyway.
Alrighty.
And let's
Yeah.
make our way to our predictions.
Alrighty. So where are okay. So first, before we go, before we do the predictions, I want to just talk about the records last week. I went 9-6-1. You went 6-9-1 last week, meaning my record for the year is 41-22-1. Your record for the year is 31-32-1.
Oh God.
So you need to have an amazing week, and I need to have the worst week
You
possible,
said that
unfortunately.
last week for me, and it didn't get much better. I'm gonna try to speed
Alrighty.
run us through this since we have 8 minutes left of this.
Alrighty.
But
So we have tomorrow night, Rams 49ers. Who do you have?
I'm saying the Rams,
I
especially with
have
Brock
the
Purdy going down. The
I have
Rams.
the Rams 33-19. Next we have Dylan Gabriel's first start in London. We have the Vikings versus the Browns. Who do you have?
After watching the performance the Vikings put on against the Steelers, I'm actually going with the Browns here.
Me too. I have the Browns winning 24-23. Next we have the early Sunday games. Houston versus Baltimore.
Sorry, I have to look for that on mine. So I have so Houston's heading into Baltimore. I do have Houston winning this game with
Me too.
a Cooper Rush led Ravens team who has a fully debilitated defense doesn't stand up to the Texans.
Yeah. I have Houston winning 23-17. Next, we have Miami and
23-17.
Carolina. I have Carolina winning 27-23.
Um, Carolina didn't look as bad as everyone thought they did last week, but
They
I
didn't.
still have the Dolphins winning this one. A very close, very low scoring game.
Oh, this one's going to be fun. We have Denver versus Philadelphia.
I have Philadelphia winning a gritty, very low scoring game as well.
I'm picking against Philadelphia for the first time this year. I have Denver winning 27-25.
I'm having a hard. Every time I pick against them, it burns me, so I'm picking them.
Alrighty. Next, we have the Cowboys versus the Jets.
I think the Cowboys easily take this game.
I have the Jets winning 27-17. Next, we have the Giants versus the Saints.
I'm gonna go with the Giants winning this, mainly because it's at MetLife.
I have the Saints winning 28-24. That Malik Neighbors injury is going to hurt them more than they think.
The Chargers are better than the Saints, and that still didn't stop them last week. So
That's true. Next, we have the Raiders versus the Colts.
I give the Colts a bounce back win here. The Raiders are a rough team, and you saw how Geno Smith played the past few
Yeah,
weeks.
no, they have not been good. Next, we have Tampa Bay versus Seattle for the afternoon games.
Give me Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay bounces back here.
I have Tampa Bay winning 31-23. Next, Tennessee versus Arizona.
I will take the Cardinals. Even though they looked rough, they're still better than this Brian Callahan led Titans team.
I have the Titans winning 27
I knew you were gonna pick them.
or 23-19.
I knew.
Next, we have the Chargers versus the Commanders.
Give me the Chargers to bounce back. We don't know if Jaden Daniels is playing yet. Even if he does, I think the Chargers bounce back from this.
Yeah, the Chargers winning 27-17. Next, we have the Lions versus the Bengals.
This could be one of the biggest blowouts of the week. Give me Lions
Yeah, I
by
have the
a million.
Lions winning 38-10. Alrighty. Now we have Sunday Night Football, the Patriots versus the Bills.
This isn't as much of a blowout as everyone thinks it's going to be, but I do have
Yeah.
the Bills winning a closer
I,
matchup.
I have the Bills winning 29-24. And now for the final matchup of the week, we have the Chiefs versus the Jags.
This is a very undervalued Jaguars team, in my opinion, who has a ridiculously good defense. Devin Lloyd with 2 picks last week, and let me see, Eric Armstead with a forced fumble. Give me Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is undervalued and under respected, so I think they're going to take down the Chiefs.
I have the entire AFC South winning this week because I have the Jags beating the Chiefs 23-20. And that is going to do it for this week, week 5 what a crazy week last week was. And I'm excited to do next week's episode only because how crazy this has the potential to be. But
Yes.
anyways, that's gonna do it. Hope you guys like the podcast. As always, you know what to do if you did. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your picks down below. We'd really love to hear them. Any takes that you guys have. Love to be I'm interested in what you guys have to say. But anyways, I've been Bryce.
I'm Matt. You know where to find both of us. Look at our
Yep.
links in the description. We'll
Yep.
see you guys next week.
Peace.